About Sean Spicer.
Okay, so the question I was going to ask you earlier is, so I've been in politics debatably my entire life, and I have friends who, it doesn't matter how much I talk to them about politics, they could not have been less interested.
Right.
And all of a sudden they know who Sean Spicer is, they know who Steve Bannon is, they clearly know who everyone in the Trump administration, but they're really obsessed with Sean Spicer. Is that a good thing that he's sort of making being press secretary great again, I guess? I don't know how to put it.
Do you want to be the story?
Or you want to be the
Press secretary
story?
want to be the story, or is that not a good thing?
Well, I've always thought it was great. I mean, I love that job, and I really do think it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. But you don't want to be the story. You want to be the explainer of the story. You want to be the explainer on behalf of the president. It's a reflection of the age we live in with Donald Trump, where everything is so amped up and red hot. Sean's a reflection of that.
But I mean, you just saw that exchange with the press where he's still handling these wiretapping allegations that the president is standing by.
Yeah.
And he's accusing the press of a double standard.
And he's right on that score.
And we actually have a clip right now of a reporter that's trying to toss a question to the New York Times in that press briefing yesterday.
I'd like to ask you about two topics, but can you help us all by calling off Pierre right now?
No, I'm going to... I understand. I actually call the questions. Alexis, if you don't want to answer the question, I can call on somebody else. No, thank you. Gabby.
Thanks, Sean.
What do you make of that?
They used to do that, too. It's a ricochet.
Nothing.
They would try to get each other's questions answered if they didn't think it was sufficiently answered before. Look, I made the case that that briefing should be taken off the TV shows. It should be taken off the air. I think it should be an explainer of what the president is thinking in a more respectful, thoughtful way, and not be a TV show in and of itself.
That is
Take
so
the cameras out of the room.
interesting. Well, you know, in all fairness, they were never this interesting before. So you literally wouldn't be seeing them as often and as long as you would be, you know, glued to the television.
But, Harris, I don't think that's a good thing. Because what this White House needs more than anything else, people thought it needed a shake-up. It needs a calm down.
Yep.
It needs just to return to the normal, difficult business of government and passing laws.
Do you
Not
think
everything
that's on
should
the
be red
table
hot.
right now? Do you think they're discussing that because these have been so contentious?
No,
But those journalists are asking important questions for the American people.
Sure.
You would agree that the American people can watch the television and see those exchanges happening and how important that is.
No, because that makes it a TV show. I think you're stronger and you're better off with it being a serious briefing to help reporters write stories.
I know we're talking a little bit about the reaction to the wiretapping, but there's been so much talk about what preceded that, and that were the leaks and the president's. And I saw you on Fox and Friends recently, and you said it is time for this president to show leadership on the leaks issue. What did you mean by that?
Well, he has to set the tone. The issue here was there be a criminal investigation, and what role should the White House have? The president needs to make clear to the FBI, the CIA, how seriously he takes it, and then step back and allow the investigators to figure out who was responsible for those CIA leaks. It's actually what Donald Trump has done.
Yeah, and so if you're at the lectern and you're asked about that, what kind of an answer do you give? Because what we're getting now is there is no evidence, there might be evidence, we can't talk about the...
Well, you're talking now about the
wiretapping and the leaks.
Look, the wiretapping, unfortunately, has been one of the greatest wastes of breath I've ever seen. I mean, it was a sad moment when the president issued those tweets that Saturday morning because he went too far. He had a nugget of truth. He hid his own nugget about wiretaps and the accusation that Barack Obama engaged in criminal activity. And this is a great lesson for Donald Trump. He is such a strong counterpuncher that sometimes he follows through and hits himself. If he hadn't gone that far, we wouldn't be talking about
How does he clean it up?
He just keeps digging and digging and digging, and I'm sure we will continue talking about it. We've got to go to a commercial break.
Trump administration taking its fight over the president's extreme vetting order to a higher court. The Justice Department today announced it's appealing a Maryland federal judge's decision striking down parts of the travel ban to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Trump administration also saying it will seek clarification on the Hawaiian ruling before heading to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to appeal that judge's order. Well, joining me now to talk about all of this, the extreme vetting order, the deep state judiciary that seems to have gone, well, absolutely rogue and hard left, and much more. The co-host of The Five, Kimberly Guilfoyle, an attorney herself, and it's great to have you here.
Hello, Lou.
A terrific development for everyone watching this House intelligence investigation. Apparently, David Nunes has had some, at least significant, response on surveillance.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is, you remember when he said the mainstream media only put forward some of the language that he initially discussed in terms of this investigation.
Right.
And said, oh, well, we haven't found, however, but they didn't talk about incidental collection, where there could be larger wiretaps going where this was then captured and people were, in fact, recorded and information gathered in that area.
And Chairman Nunes talking about the unmasking and who had asked for the unmasking and who actually did it. That suggests that we're going to see names move forward here and some, at least, understanding of who did what and why.
It's really the best you could hope for in terms of getting the transparency, the American people wanting to know and should get the answers. Let's get to the bottom of this. If this type of thing is going on, it sure well seems that it is. We need to know who's behind it. And by the way, who are the Americans that are being surveilled? Who are the people that are caught up in this type of wiretapping, et cetera? And it should come forward. So I like the fact that he's being aggressive and getting to the bottom of it and pushing it to get the transparency coming forward, because it's a very serious situation.
And another very serious situation is the reaction of left-wing activist judges in the district court level in our judicial system. Two judges, one in Hawaii, one in Maryland, both absolutely, I mean, they just went rogue. Responding from the bench to the president's executive order and not even discussing the contents of the order, its purpose, or its language, but rather their own heartfelt, I'm sure, subjective judgments about it all. I mean, it's just outrageous.
Yeah, like you said on their deep state judiciary, I mean, they don't even care. It's so obvious that they've gone rogue, that they're putting forward their own political ideology and political viewpoints at the expense of justice in this country, completely disregarding the law, complete dereliction of duty. I mean, you cannot in this country afford to have judges on the bench that are doing this, that are being activists, essentially trying to carry out what they believe the law should be. It's really outrageous, because this executive order was revised and was specifically tailored to pass any kind of constitutional muster. So this is just complete obstructionist.
And the Maryland judge, Breitbart, reporting that one of the elements to his decision was a footnote in which he was considering, with the plaintiffs before him, including all sorts of refugee organizations, doubling the number of, ordering the president to double the number of refugees coming into this country.
Like, who died and made him king?
Well,
yeah,
the other part
is unbelievable.
At what point should he be impeached? And if this is not that point, why not?
Right, should be removed. I mean, that's the problem. When you see this kind of like grotesque activism, it's really violating in every sense the canon of the law and the ethics to uphold the law. How is somebody like this, let alone have a license to practice law, let alone sit there and be allowed to continue to legislate from the bench, putting American public safety and national security in grave risk and danger? It's unbelievable. And nothing that they wrote in these opinions is accurate law.
Right. It's beyond comprehension, other than to identify two more judges as part of the national left-wing rogue deep state judiciary.
They're outing themselves rather quickly.
And they're really piling up. You're right. Kimberly Guilfoyle, always good to have you here.
Thanks so much.